You can't beat something if you don't even know what it is that you're fighting.
In a world where pathological parents can destroy their child's loving relationship with their other parent, survivors must fight to uncover the sinister lies behind this mind-bending form of abuse.
Welcome to the Anti-Alienation Project. I'm an adult child who's been through parental alienation, and I'm working on recovery and recovering my relationship with my dad. I'm Maddie, and today we'll be discussing a question that I've gotten from so many alienated parents. It's a question that all alienated parents are desperate to have answered, and that is, what can I do to get my child back? So many alienated parents are desperate to do anything to get even a slight chance at having their child back in their lives. On the flip side, they're desperate to know what they can avoid doing to make the alienation worse. Or if there's anything that they're doing they don't mean to be doing that might be enforcing the alienation. While I'm not a mental health professional, I do have the lived experience to hopefully give you some tips and insider information into what goes on behind closed doors. Please keep in mind that this is coming from someone who has lived experience and not someone who's trained in the field. Here's my advice. You can't beat something if you don't even know what it is that you're fighting. And I think a lot of alienated parents feel this way. How can I begin to combat lies if I don't even know what they're lying about? I think my child has been brainwashed to believe negative things about me, but how do I prove the negative things wrong if I don't even know what they're being brainwashed to believe? You can't beat something if you don't even know what it is that you're fighting. Parental alienation is so effective because of the insidious nature of the brainwashing tactics. To that end, I'm going to first explain each tactic used, and then I'm going to provide some ideas or advice for how to fight that tactic. This video is not exhaustive, but in my mind, from what I've able to conjure up, there are 5 different tactics. Number 1, the parent employs tactics that make the child choose them. One of the ways they do this is they blow everything that you do wrong way out of proportion. For example, my dad is known for being late. Instead of telling us when he was late, oh, don't worry, your dad's almost here, or he'll get here soon, or not saying anything at all, my parent would always say, see, your dad's late again. He's always late. I wish he cared more about you guys. Doesn't care about anyone but himself just because he was 15 or 20 minutes late. I remember one time my dad had flown across the country to visit me somewhere. And after a few minutes, he started playing football with my brother. And my mom said, God, he hasn't seen you in months. And all he wants to do is throw football with your brother. I wish he cared more about you. So even little things that aren't meant in a harmful way will be twisted in the way that puts you in a negative light. So just be on guard for that. One strategy that I've been able to think of that could combat this blowing out things out of proportion tactic is to admit your mistakes even when they're small, and admit your mistakes often. That'll really enforce to your child that you're a humble person willing to take accountability for when you mess up. Apologize. This strategy will be really confusing for your child, which is sad because it's going to show them that you do love and care about them, but they've been so conditioned to believe the opposite that it might not kick things into gear for them. It might just make them have a little bit of cognitive dissonance. But anytime you can poke holes at the fake fabric of reality is a win for you. So the pathological parent will compare themselves to you at every turn, and they will use this to get their child to make them feel better about themselves, but also to make themselves appear as the victim. Comparing how much fun he is, comparing the trips that they would take us on, comparing the phones they would get us, the clothes they would buy us, the food they would make for us. There's no limit to what might be compared. I mean, really, looking back, it just makes me kind of laugh. Like, were you going that low? We're stooping that low today? Always trying to get us to comfort her. For example, if the pathological parent is single, but you're in a romantic relationship, there's a good chance that they'll remind the child of this at every turn. For example, well, dad has his wife, I have no one. I just get really lonely sometimes. Although being single is their choice, the parent will use their singlehood to enforce this victim mindset and the idea that they're lonesome and that they need you more than your other parent does. So what does this lead to? It leads to the child choosing them, protecting them, feeling worse for them because they feel bad. And this pity me, choose me strategy really has no limits. They will exploit anything, financial strain, depression, anxiety, work issues, the death of a parent, any difficulty in the pathological parent's world becomes something that they will exploit to make their child pity them and choose them. And now that I'm actually going through all of this, it makes me feel even kind of angry at what my parent did do all the time to me. This shit is not right. And why do you want to live that way? There's nothing to gain in the victimhood mentality. And I think this is the way that you fight this, the strategy that you use. With older kids, I think that it's fair to discuss, maybe in general terms. Have you heard of something in our society right now or noticed a culture of victimhood? You can ask them if they've noticed this at school, online, or in their friend group. This is just an idea. You can ask your older children whether they want to be seen as a victim or a victor of their circumstances. Just get the ball rolling in their heads. Sometimes awareness of the victimhood mentality is all that it takes for people to see when they might be falling into that and correct it. And then once they start doing that with themselves, it's easy to notice it in other people. With younger kids, this is a bit trickier. You might have to bring it up in therapy. I'm telling you, you might not know this, and I don't want to scare you, but when I told my dad everything, for example, it was way worse than he ever imagined. If a pathological parent is alienating their child and destroying a healthy parent-child bond for their own child, disregarding their emotional well-being, their mental well-being. I don't know the statistics on this, but I can say in my own case and every other case I've heard of, that child is being abused in other ways as well. Again, I don't want to scare anybody out there, but the thing is that pathological people aren't just pathological in one specific aspect of their lives. It bleeds into all the domains of being a parent. In addition to making the child choose them, they're going to make sure as hell that the child does not choose you. And the way they're going to do this is to make the child hate you and fear you. In order to make the child hate you, they're going to badmouth the crap out of you. They're going to point out all of your flaws, real, imagined, or exaggerated. They will tell lies about what you've done or said, or even who you are, lies about your character. They will more than likely enlist others, friends or family members, or just acquaintances, to help them assassinate your character to your child. Something about the way I just said that really puts it into perspective for me. Sometimes I'm so close to the subject matter that I can still gaslight myself in my head and be like, making a mountain out of a molehill, but then I hear things that I say it out loud, stuff that has been done, stuff that I've experienced, and it's like, no, it's not right. That's the effect of the brainwashing. But they're going to enlist others to help assassinate your character. And the effect that this has on the child is that, oh my gosh, so many people are telling me this about my parent. It must be true, because there's this power in numbers mentality. I have to say this is absolutely what happens, because I remember many times having people in the community or at church come up to me and say, you are so lucky to have such a selfless, holy parent. So it's kind of like a mind F. Like, everybody thinks they're amazing and selfless and holy and great, so of course they must be, so then you convince yourself that you're the bad one. Here are some common smear campaigns. Your mom or dad is bad, selfish, uncaring, unloving, deceptive, manipulative, crazy, which, as we all know, is probably just projection. The pathological parent is really just describing themselves. The strategies for both of these tactics. Number 1, live your life in a manner that proves any potential lie or accusation wrong. Number 2, make your kids aware of gossiping and triangulation in kid-friendly terms. If you have a younger child, it might be okay to say something like, it is not okay, it is never okay for someone in your family to talk poorly about someone else in your family. Or, we don't talk poorly about our family, we love everyone the same. I don't know, you can come up with your own version, but make sure that they know that it's wrong, because if they know it's wrong and they hear one parent say something damning about the other parent, maybe a light bulb will click off in their head and maybe they'll remember you saying that. Another strategy for smear campaigns, which I know that this has probably been told to you already and you probably don't even want to hear it, but show them through your actions that you're good, selfless, loving, caring, authentic, genuine, and stable. And here's a big one that I know you're not going to want to hear. Don't speak badly about them. this is gonna backfire. I remember if my dad even went close to talking about my mom in even a slightly critical light, I was so defensive. It dug him in a deeper hole looking back on it, because I would be angry at him, and in my head it proved the point. He is not nice because he's talking bad about mom. I know this is frustrating because it's so hypocritical. How is that parent allowed to talk crap about you all day long, but you can't even hint at something? I know. Trust me, I know. It's not right, it's not fair, but I'm just saying, if you want to try to fight this, you cannot speak ill about your other parent. You cannot, okay? Specifically you. I didn't say that you can't get someone the child trusts to mention something that's wrong or a lie. Maybe someone they trust and love and know who's not you can say something, but you can't. Please. That will not help. I know you want to, though. They're going to also make your child believe a whole lot of lies and false accusations. Here's some common lies that I was made to believe and that I've seen across the board a lot of children being made to believe. That you don't love them, that you love their siblings more than them, or if they've had other children with other wives, that you love those step-siblings more than you love them. That you abuse their other parent or them, but they can't remember it, or they've have false memories of abuse implanted in their head by stories being told to them again and again and again. Yes, this can happen with children. That you cheated on their other parent, that you physically abused their other parent, that you have no empathy, perhaps no soul, that you have some sort of mental illness or personality disorder. Not only do they use these lies to enforce the fact that they're the victim, pity me, choose me, but also to instill fear in the child. And this will cause true fear in your child. At age 9, during the alienation, once it was, kind of solidified for me, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder and childhood depression. Now, strategies for this tactic of making the child believe lies and false accusations, to me, is a little bit harder to fight because I can't tell you what lies are being told. I can tell you what lies I was told, but I can't tell you all the specific lies that your child is being told. While you can't predict their lies, what you can do is tell your child preventative truths, especially during a custody battle or a divorce. For example, you want to reinforce mommy and daddy cared about each other very much. There was no infidelity. If the kid is older, you can tell them that we didn't cheat on each other. We don't make a good team anymore. You can do your own variation of that. And finally, the last tactic we're going to talk about today is the repetition of stories to create false memories in the child's head and get the child to accept this manufactured version of reality. This is the one that really screws you up long term, being the adult child. Because at this point, I don't really know what all is true, what all is fake, what all is exaggeration. I know some stuff. I know the important big stuff, most of it, but it's just a mess in there. Example for this, false memories being implanted, is that, I was always told Dad abandoned you. I can't believe he abandoned you. When in reality, no, she actually filed a bogus restraining order. There was a restraining order you filed, and then you wouldn't let him near us. He wanted to see me, he just wasn't allowed to. I was told again and again that he abandoned me. Believing that for so long really was like having to cope with true abandonment because I believed it. So the strategy for this is really tricky. This might sound a bit extreme, but my suggestion is that if you suspect that your child is living in a false version of reality, it might be wise or helpful for them to hear the truth from someone they trust that's not you, because they've been taught to believe you're deceptive and manipulative. So anything that you say like that will actually work against you. If that's impossible or just something you don't want to do, then you can always reaffirm your child about how much you love them now and you've loved them every day of your life, and you just want a chance at being in their life. This is not an exhaustive list, but I think it's a start. If this video is helpful, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll try to do a part 2, because I probably could think of a whole bunch more. It's been my life for 20 years. I want to end with some hope as always, right? What they told my dad 20 years ago still stands today. Live in a way that contradicts the lies. Can't change this overnight. It's a long waiting game. But the truth comes out eventually. Your kid is not hurting you on purpose. If they knew the truth, everything would be different. Maybe they don't know the truth right now. And that's one thing that I've had to learn. I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but my dad has always maintained that my mom turned me against him to hurt him and to isolate me. He said that since the start. And my mom, in response, said, "Your dad is so manipulative, he's saying this. You don't feel like I'm doing that, do you?" As if at 9 years old, I could tell the difference or know what to say. Of course, I said, "No, you're not. Of course not, Mom. These are my own beliefs. These are my own choices." 9-year-olds can't consent. 10-year-olds can't consent. Not when it comes to brainwashing and psychological manipulation and child abuse by their own parent who they believe loves them and who they trust. So my dad always said that, but I didn't realize it was true until I was 29. And I really wish I had realized it was true sooner. I'm telling you all of this so that you can believe that your child is going to question everything, but not until they're ready. That's what's really crappy about this whole situation, that it is a waiting game. Challenge I'm going to put out there today is going to be for the alienated parents. I can't say that I know what that trauma feels like. I can imagine what it feels like, and even the thought of it is more than I can handle. I do want you to know that your child is acting in proxy of your ex-partner. It might be hopeful anytime you start to get resentful or even angry or frustrated with your child, which I know happens because I remember that with my dad. Try to reframe it. Try to tell yourself they're just weaponized. They've been weaponized by your ex. You can tell yourself, no, this is not who they are. They've been weaponized. They've been brainwashed. Please believe that too when you tell yourself, because that's the absolute truth. You're not the person that they have been made to believe you are. You don't deserve this. And the challenge for this after this video is for you to do that, to reframe it in your mind, redirect your anger towards that ex, fight to get you, and use that anger to get you to fight harder. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope that you got some value out of this video or that you've learned something today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting this project that I'm doing. I haven't seen many adult children speak out, and I think until more adult children speak out, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change in the court system. This bogus movement that parental alienation isn't real, that's just going to keep perpetuating, and people like One Mom's Battle are just going to keep spreading misinformation. If any adult children are listening to this, please use your voice. Use your voice in some way, even anonymously. If you do want to use your voice and talk with me, I would absolutely love it, because I still haven't really spoken with any adult children of alienation, and I'm trying to get people to think about it by posting videos, and I want to get through to those adult children so badly that haven't figured it out yet. So I'm trying to think of ways to make videos to kind of tip them off. As always, thanks for listening to the Anti-Alienation Project. I'll see you next time. Bye.